Hello everyone. Today I want to talk a little bit about personal finance and a little bit about law. And in particular, I want to talk about the importance of writing a will. And just to make my point, I'm going to talk about three individual cases of well-known artists that you may be familiarized with. Some of those artists are Aretha Franklin, Prince, and Michael Jackson. Okay, so let's start with Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson was a well-known singer, songwriter, and dancer. Let me just play a few seconds of his music for the audience. So this is the song Billie Jean. I think it's one of the most popular songs in his repertoire, and it has millions and millions of views in YouTube. So at one time, Michael Jackson was, his estimated fortune was about $5 million. And take this with a grain of salt. I don't have a fact checker. This is the information that I randomly found on the internet. This could be, I just know that he had a lot of money. And the same goes for the other artists that I will be talking about. I found the information on the internet. I really don't have a fact checker, so just assume it's a lot of money. But he is an example of what to do or how to do things right. Of when you have lots of money and you have family depending on you and a lot of assets, then you should do something with it. You should, in case something happened to you, you should be organized and determine, okay, if I die tomorrow, this is what's going to be should happen with my assets. And Michael Jackson, I guess, under the advice of his attorneys and accountants who were give, he created the Michael Jackson Family Trust. And he created this trust 5 years before he died. Okay, he knew that he could die at any moment. So what happened is when he died, the judge knew to who to give what amount of money, who was responsible of this and the other thing, and ideally this is the path that we all should create. Maybe we should write a will every year or 2 years or even 5 years and have it notarized by a notary or an attorney what give, and then if you die within that interim of time, then there's not gonna be any dispute, no confusion, no nothing, and this is the ideal scenario for everyone. Okay, now let's take another example. Aretha Franklin. I'm a blues dancer, and I love her music. I'm just gonna play a few seconds of her music. So this is the kind of music she plays. It's she was known as the Queen of Soul. Yeah, it's a lovely music to drink a glass of whiskey, a martini, whatever. And if you are like me, who likes to dance a little bit of blues, then it's a fantastic music to dance with, or West Coast swing. Anyway, enough about that. She was also a singer, a songwriter, and a pianist, and she sold over 75 million records at the time that you used to measure artist popularity with record sales. I don't know how artists are measured nowadays. Maybe streams in Spotify. Who knows? Downloads. What give? I'm not up to date on that, but her fortune was estimated to be about $80 million at one time. Okay, and what happens to her is that when she died, people assume that she didn't have a will. Okay, I guess it wasn't obvious at first, but then it was discovered that she had written a will, and it was in a notebook that was on top of her couch. So I wonder how much of truth there is that people didn't know she had a will. Maybe when they started looking through her stuff, they found a will. Okay, and the will was very clear. It said, this is my last will, this is how I want my assets to be distributed, this is how the conditions that I want my assets to be distributed under, so on and so forth. The judge found that legally binding, and this is called a holographic will. Okay, holographic will is a will that is written by hand. So these are the conditions for that will to be valid. You write it by hand, you put a date, you cannot use any mechanical means like a typewriter or a word processor or any of that thing. You have to write it by hand and date it and then sign it. And just to give you a little bit more information, I live in the province of Quebec, and holographic wills are legally binding here in Quebec. So, and in fact, this is what I do. Every year, December or January, at the end of the year, at that time when I'm lonely and melancholic, I just take my writing pad and I write my will for the next year. And it's depending so much on the kind of relationship that I'm having with my friends at that time or not. I have, I don't say this too often, but I have taken erased friends from my will from the previous year and added new ones, and so on and so forth. So, but if I die tomorrow, there is a will on my desk, and it says, okay, distribute this amount of assets to this person and the other one and the other one, and that's that. So you too, you could have that done. You could write a will write it every year. It doesn't cost you anything, and you don't even have to have a witness. You just write it, put your just say the magic words. This is my last will. This is how I want my assets to be distributed. This is what I want my kids to be taken care of, and then sign it, and it's valid, completely valid. Okay, so keep that in mind. It doesn't cost you anything. You don't even have to go to anyone's office, and I think it's a good option. But of course, the first option is always preferable, to have it notarized and so forth, so on and so forth. Now, the last example is Prince. Okay, let's listen to a few seconds of Prince music. This is Purple Rain. And okay, so I guess that's enough. So this is Purple Rain. I went to see the movie. It was fantastic. It was a beautiful date. Anyway, so he was considered a genius. He was a singer, songwriter, musician, and record producer. He paid a lot of attention to the rise of his music, and one time his fortune was estimated to be about $300 million. Okay, but unfortunately, a big unfortunately, Prince didn't have a will. So when he died, people thought that he had a will because he was so organized in his legal proceedings in regards to his music, but no, he didn't have a will. So people didn't know what to do with it. He didn't have. He was never married. He had no father, any surviving children. And guess what happened? He died, and about 700 people claimed to be his family member or descendants or what give, So, and this is madness, but this is what happened when people see money and they see a chance to claim a little bit of it. So, 700 people claim to be, oh, he's my dad, or he's my uncle, or he's my nephew, so on and so forth. So, yeah, you don't want this to happen to your fortune, assuming that you have a fortune, of course, but yeah, you want to be more or less organized. So keep those three extremes in mind. Ideally, you will do like Michael Jackson. You will have a will notarized put together by an attorney or a notary. If not, second best alternative, follow what Aretha Franklin did and write a will every year. It just keeps your affairs up to date. And please do not do like Prince. He's an example of what not to do. So that's it for today. Oh, please write in your comments. Do you write a will? If so, how often? If not, why not? That's also curious to know. And also, if you, I'm curious to know if you like any of these singers. If you like Michael Jackson's music, Prince music, or Aretha Franklin music, and write it in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and talk to you next time. Goodbye.